Good morning. My name is Dean Ward, and I serve as the lead pastor of the River Church. And I'm so grateful that you have chosen to be with us here today. Where we're filming, there is a hawk screeching like it's going to swoop down and eat me. So I'm just a little unnerved by that at the moment. And you may be, well, where aren't you filming on your back porch? Haven't you filmed here before? Well, yes. The reason I wanted to film here today is because I wanted to film here last week because I was going to have to film on my own. And I was going to film outside when the temperatures were in the single digits, and I was going to bundle up in my favorite warm coat and hat and gloves, and I was going to preach my sermon out in the elements just to demonstrate my absolute love for winter and the cold weather. Fortunately, decided not to do that. So I wanted to share this moment with you today. Now, for those of you paying attention, it is also Super Bowl Sunday, and you may be saying, well, Dean, where are your red pants? Come on, Kansas City's in the Super Bowl, you're supporting Sky Moore. Why aren't you wearing your red pants? Well, I had a packed day today. We're filming on Friday, and so we didn't get to change into our red pants. Perhaps Matt can put an image up on the screen showing my favorite red pants in support of Sky Moore, the New Ken native who is in the Super Bowl, his rookie season with Kansas City. But better than that, I wanted to show you the Sky Moore shirt that we bought this week. If my wife she wore this outfit to school today on Friday for Sky Moore Day, and I wanted you to get a catch a glimpse of the Sky Moore t-shirt. There you go. So we're big Sky Moore fans. Can't wait to see him play in the Super Bowl. Anything you want to say?
Go Sky.
Go Sky. All right.
Go Chiefs.
Thank you. To all my Philadelphia fans, including my elementary school principal, Tom Lewis, I apologize, but here in New Kensington, we're Sky Moore fans, so God bless you. All right, now, so some of you are so excited because this is the last football reference you're going to get till like at least training camp in July and maybe even September when the season starts. So just take a deep breath. You're heading into your favorite time of year where Pastor Dean's not going to be talking about football every Sunday. Well, today we are in week 6 of our series just simply called House of Freedom, where we have been looking at these commandments given by God to the children of Israel when he brought them out of bondage and into freedom. These are the spoken words that he gave them to help them learn how to live free lives. So we've had a lot of fun in this series looking at each of these spoken words, these commandments given to the children of God, those who follow God, given to them to find freedom. And we've also enjoyed the opportunity to look at how Jesus spoke into these commandments and how we are invited to live in them now, not so that we could live confined lives, but so that we could live free lives, full of freedom and life. And so it's with great anticipation that I dive into the stickiest of subjects today. Are you ready? This is commandment number 7, Exodus 20, verse 14. Just simply 5 words: you shall not commit adultery. Yes, commandment number 7 does prohibit adultery. Now, again, just like last week, thou shalt not murder. Some of us may be feeling like, well, I'm off the hook. I've never been unfaithful to my spouse. I'm good. It's all good. Check that box. Let's move on. Well, I'd like to invite you maybe just to slow down just a moment and let's look a little closer. This series is about freedom. And when we talk about sex and sexual freedom, it brings up all kinds of energy to it. But sexual freedom, as God came to give it to us, is so different and opposite of our cultural's definition and view of sexual freedom. The world's view of sexual freedom is so out of place for a follower of Christ. And yet, in so many ways, followers of Christ buy into the world's definition and view. This one command may be the place where the contrast between the world's view and God's view is the starkest. Jesus, the sexual ethic he speaks into that we're going to look at today, is going to push against most people's ideas of sexual freedom. So I want to give you just a little disclaimer today. If you are watching this in the presence of young children, you may just want to find a time that you can watch it without young ears around. Not that there's going to be anything inappropriate or graphic shared by me, but sometimes things are better not heard at a very young age. The sermon title today is just simply The Scarlet Letter. That letter, if you read the book or saw the movie, I saw the movie. If you saw the movie where this woman became pregnant outside the marriage arrangement, and it was in the Puritan days, and she had to wear a scarlet letter A around her neck for adulterer. And spoiler alert, okay, I'm just gonna, if you don't want to hear this, go ahead and close it. But the disturbing thing about that, her silent and not naming her, the man she was with, because he was the preacher. Okay, so let's just leave it at that. Okay, thank you very much. Well, as we begin today, I just want to point out a few obvious things. Everyone has a sexual past, and every one of us is created as a sexual being. And here's the hard part. Every single one of us, we have broken this commandment. Now you're like, oh, no, wait, I have not broken it. No, wait, what? Well, I want to take us to the words of Paul when he says, if we have broken one commandment, we are guilty of breaking them all. So some ground rules here at the beginning of the message. Shame is not the goal. Perhaps you've been part of sermons and been around preachers that it feels like their number one goal in every conversation, every message, everything they say is to make you feel awful, to make you feel shame and guilt, to try to manipulate you into some sort of repentance. Well, today, let's just be clear, shame is not the goal. The playing field is level here because none of us has gotten it right when it comes to our sexuality all the time. There may be listening today a lot of us in our second marriage, or perhaps our third, maybe even our fourth. Well, I just want to point out the obvious that maybe you've not heard clearly enough. Jesus loves people who have sexual brokenness in their story. You see it throughout Scripture. And Jesus offers healing and grace for all of us. So just as last week when we talked about this commandment of thou shalt not murder or do not murder, that the energy behind that was the reality that everybody matters to God. People matter to God. Well, today, the commandment, you shall not commit adultery, this commandment is about safeguarding the gift of marriage and promoting the flourishing of the family. If there are any of these commands that we need to talk about, that this is really freedom, it's this one. Most people have a really messed up view of sexuality or of God and sexuality. The message that many of our young people are raised with in Christian churches could be translated as this: sex is bad until you get married, then it's good. Well, some of us may end up feeling like, well, I believe God created everything, but certainly not sex. I mean, come on. It's like sex just showed up apart from God, many of us feel. And the notion of our sexuality and obeying God, we can't figure out how they fit together. There is so much sexual brokenness that some have abandoned sex because it's just too emotionally painful. Or it's part of my past brokenness, and going forward, it's not something I'm going to embrace. Some people, their marriage has so much disappointment in it that the intimacy of sex is off the table. Everyone's life is affected by this. Perhaps your parents' divorce has affected your view of life and marriage and sexuality in significant ways. Or perhaps your divorce has. Or the infidelity of your parents has hurt you and damaged you significantly. Or perhaps your own infidelity has left things broken, what feels like beyond repair. Oh, I just want you to hear that my hope is that in this message, you find hope. You find healing. You find life. And you find freedom. Now, the reality is, in preparing for this message, this would demand more like a 10-part series to do it justice. So to hit this in one 30-minute message, my camera guy's looking at me like, okay, one 32-minute message, it's going to require a lot longer of a treatment at this. So if you're listening to the message today and you're like, well, he just kind of skimmed over things. He didn't really speak to what I need and my pain and where I need healing and where I need freedom. I want to ask for an umbrella of grace as we do our best in the time that we have to address the freedom that we are called to have in God in the area of our sexuality. Jesus reveals to us a clearer, a more thorough treatment of this command in Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 to 30. Here are his words. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, I want to shift the gender of that verse. I mean, it could have very easily read, any woman who looks on a man lustfully has already committed adultery with him in her heart. That is true as well. But then Jesus makes some very strong statements in these next two verses. You ready? If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. What? Well, first of all, I just want to help us here. Jesus is not advocating self-mutilation, okay? That's not what he's going for here. So please hear that. Don't show up at church next week without a hand and say, Pastor Dean, I did what you said to do. No, 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 no. Jesus and Pastor Dean are not saying to gouge out your eye and cut out your hand. What is being communicated here is that we have to take extreme measures to protect ourselves from sexual sin. We have to put safeguards in our lives and make very important decisions that will guide us to live a life of freedom in the area of sexuality. And so this is the invitation that Christ has for us, to take extreme measures to work on this and get this one right. Now, I want to just let you know that our minds are very, very, very powerful tools. And what we think about, what we focus on as created beings, we have the power to make things happen. And the more we think about them, the more we imagine them, the more we wonder about them, the more likely they are to happen. And so when Jesus says, hey, if you look at someone and have lust in your heart, you are in a dangerous place that could lead to adultery, and you don't want to go there. You've already violated a very important thing. So I want to invite us to pay attention to what we focus on. I want to give you a video that may make you just a little uncomfortable. It's just simply called Heal the Parts of Me. And we're going to come and talk about this for just a minute. Let's enjoy this uncomfortable video together.
Many of us don't want to know the truth about ourselves or our hidden weaknesses. Good. Heal the parts of me that don't want to be healed.
We're standing just about 12 or 15 feet away from where we filmed the first part of the message. And these rhododendrons frame a part of our backyard that my daughters have affectionately called from childhood on the secret garden, because there's a pathway down around to the lower part of our yard. And I won't mention which of my three daughters. I have two that are still yet to be married. One has described a desire to get married here in this area, so we'll see how that goes. First, she has to find someone. Okay, let's just say I'm sorry. Well, I hope that video made you a little uncomfortable, because did you catch the look Did you catch the flirtation? Did you catch the glimmer in his eye and her eye toward each other? And then catch how the wife noticed that as well? Well, I want to invite you, when you find yourself in situations like that, be very careful. In college, as a pastoral ministry student, I was struck by the Baptist pastors that had such a hard line about them and women. They would be like, I will never be in the same room alone with a woman. I will never ride in a car with a woman. I will never share a meal with just another woman that is not my wife. And they had very, very hard boundaries drawn. And I'm not against any of those. But what I noticed is that there were a lot of pastors that had stated boundaries that were still having affairs, that were still committing adultery. And I'm like, what am I missing here? Is this just an occupational hazard that happens to every pastor? No, it is not. And what I've come to terms and come to realize is that oftentimes the pastors that commit adultery, the spouses that commit adultery, on one level or another, they're looking for it. Especially the pastors, okay? I'm not speaking to everybody else, but they're looking for it. They're looking for someone who's vulnerable. They're looking for somebody who's needy. They're looking for somebody who's open, and they have some stuff going on in their lives, and they prey on it. We can do better, pastors. And Jesus calls us as followers of him to do better as well. And so, when you notice an attraction, when you notice a look, when you notice an opening, I just want to say, don't look for it, don't pursue it, don't dwell on it, don't fantasize about it, don't flirt with it. Don't flirt with it. Don't imagine it. Don't plan for it. Don't linger on it. Don't desire it. Don't long for it or covet it. Don't do it. Paul cautions us in such a positive way and helps give us a plan to overcome these kind of things when he tells us in Philippians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Because Paul understood the power of our mind to create the reality that we want. And if we spend our time focusing and fantasizing about things that are off limits to us as followers of Christ, we will be at risk of creating that opportunity and making it happen. I love the way Paul says this. Hey, if you're struggling to figure out how to navigate this, then verse 9 tells us, whatever you have learned or received from me, or heard from me, or seen me in me, put into practice. Do those things. And the God of peace will be with you. So, now I hope that this message speaks to a few different people. To those who are tempted, I hope that you will hear these words and say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to flirt with that temptation. I'm not going to let it linger in my mind. I'm going to think about things that are honorable, right, good, and praiseworthy. To those who are wayward, I want to invite you to come back. Come back to the truth. Come back to the Lord. Confess and return to Him. To those who are brokenhearted, I just want to say, God sees and understands and feels your pain, and He is there for you to provide comfort, strength, and hope as you seek to rebuild your life from how adultery may have damaged or destroyed it. And for those who have experienced this transgression in their marriage, but you have fought, you have worked, you have done your best to rebuild the trust that was broken. To those who have redeemed their fallenness with God and their spouse, I hope that you find continued healing and growth and love in your marriage. So, we're going to wrap this up, and here's how this is going to go, okay? I'll just walk you through it. I'm going to share with you my 4 highest priorities in guarding against adultery in my life. Then I'm going to read a list of very helpful things that can help you in your marriage. And then finally, we're going to close with a very fun video by the Skit Guys just called Romantically Challenged. Okay? So, my top 4 list, I realized that I had to want this. I had to want to have a sexually pure life, and I had to want to have a sexually pure marriage. Now, when we talk about sexual freedom and the world's different view and God's view of sexual freedom, I just want to encourage you. Pursue sexual purity in your life before you're married, because that's a great foundation for when you're married. And know this, it honors God when we safeguard our virginity and commit that we will not have sexual intercourse until we are married. That is a sacred trust and a promise to your future spouse that I want to encourage you to push back against the culture and deception of this world and commit to. You can do this. I know you can. It has been done and still continually is done, where young people make the commitment, I'm going to guard my sexual purity and I'm going to be a virgin when I get married. So, you have to want it. Secondly, my top priority is you have to be willing to pay the price of attention and effort. To invest in my marriage with my wife, Leslie, takes time, effort, and energy. It really does. I was shopping with my wife last night at TJ Maxx. No, I'm not going to turn my man card back into you. But get this, it was my idea. And I didn't even really want to go shopping. But I know how much my wife loves a 15-minute journey into TJ Maxx. And we were out in an area where there was one. I said, hey, do you want to stop by and go through TJ Maxx? And she was like, yes. And I met a guy there who was about to celebrate his 8th anniversary. And he's like, wait, let me understand this. You actually suggested that you come here with your wife? I was drug here. And I'm like, yes, I did. I want to invite you to it's worth it to put the time, effort, and energy into your marriage. Pay that price. You've heard me say this a number of times. My wife and I practice this regularly. Choose to be amused with each other instead of annoyed with each other. That shifted things for us. And finally, I'm sure you've all grown tired of hearing me say this. But for my wife and I, when we learned and committed to speak each other's love language, it transformed our marriage. My love language is verbal affirmation. Hers is acts of service. So I do things for her. She tries to say nice things to me. And then we share quality time together. Learn them. Be a student of them, because they will serve you well in your efforts of fidelity in your marriage. Now, you can help protect your marriage from infidelity by a whole laundry list of things. And I invite you to go online and search, how do I avoid adultery? Top 10 ways to have a strong marriage. I want to invite you to go and look at these, but I'm going to run through like a Johnny Cash song about all the places he has been, how he's been everywhere. I want to run through a list of these and latch on to the ones that grab your soul. First of all, avoid temptation. For women, date your husband. For both men and women, stop the pornography. Okay, got it? Be thoughtful. Initiate affection. Have sex regularly. Now, I just have to say, both my uncle on my dad's side and my grandfather on my mom's side, late in life, both said, well, you know, that's really where relationships break down, whenever married couples stop having sex together. Now, my grandfather told that to my older cousin. He's like, Grandpa, stop. I don't want to hear that from you. But I was reminded of that when my uncle 10 years ago made a similar statement. So have sex regularly. Talk some and listen always. Meet each other's needs. And women, this one was one for you that I thought was very helpful. Don't push him away. And you're like, what do you mean, don't push him away? Well, I'm going to list some of the ways that men feel pushed away. Computer time, TV time, and smartphone time. When you're on those three things, or one of those three things a lot, guess who feels pushed away? Your husband does. Phone conversations, hyper-scheduling, obsessions. What do you get obsessed about? Squeezes us out of the picture. Body language. Shopping frivolity. I think it means carelessly shopping. I'm not sure. Listing his faults. And we know we're broken. It's not helpful when you just have a list of our faults that you keep hammering us on. And when you make our kids number one in your life, man, it's the way you push us out. Other things you can do to help create fidelity in your marriage: evaluate your vulnerabilities. Know your weaknesses. Talk to your spouse about them and ask them to talk to you about their vulnerability. Make marriage your number one priority. Share a common interest. A wise person in Leslie and my life, when we first got married, said, learn how to golf together. It saved my marriage. Well, both Leslie and I hate golf, so that didn't work. But we did find that we love watching football together. Yes, I have learned to love to go shopping with her. Guilty as charged. Find and share common interests. My good buddy, who I'd never thought, he watches rom-coms with his wife all the time. Way to go. Way to go. Have fun with your spouse. Can't be overstated. Have fun with your spouse. Be patient with your spouse. Be aware of bitterness. Grow together. Travel together. And I'll end with Madonna's advice from her song, express yourself. Wait, was that out of bounds? I'm sorry. Well, I want to give you a glimpse into how challenging it can be for men to express themselves as we end with this video, just simply called Romantically Challenged. God bless you, everybody. Have a great week. Enjoy this video now.
I am a man, and I am romantically challenged. My wife is from Venus, and I am from Mars. But we must learn to live together on Earth. Although I don't like to talk or share my feelings, I am here tonight to do both because I love my wife.
Who's up?
Hi, my name is Dan, and I am romantically challenged.
Hi, Dan. Dan, I want you to share your feelings, even though it goes against everything you stand for as a man.
I tried the trick that Jerry taught us last week.
A trick is what a two-bit magician does at a county fair. Jerry was given a technique, and a technique...
Hey, Dr. Phil, let him finish.
So anyway, I decided I'd use Jerry's technique last week. My wife came to me all exasperated and pulled her hair out and whatnot about her job. And I used Jerry's words exactly. I said, now honey, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to listen or fix it? And what'd she say?
Listen.
Fix it.
And so anyway, I tried to listen. I really did. But in the middle of listening, I came up with a 7-point plan to fix it. I'm so ashamed.
It's okay, Dan. Hey, you're multitasking, all right? And that is very hard for your untrained one-track man brain to do. Feel proud of that, all right? Who's next?
Heck, I'll go. Hey guys, I'm Jerry, and was romantically challenged.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey. Yeah, I actually went through the program, and now I'm a real romantic, according to someone at home.
All right. Okay, Jerry.
Remember when we talked about how we're supposed to love our wives like Christ loves the church? Well, gentlemen, mission accomplished. Okay? This weekend, I saw some extra charges on Cindy's bank card. So, yeah. But I, instead of yelling and screaming like I normally would, I acted in a more Christ-like manner. Yeah. So I simply turned over her nightstand and her scrapbooking table and said, "Get out of here, money changer." I was like, "Yeah."
I don't think that's what the Ephesians 5 passage means.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Bill Gates. Who are you?
No, I think when it says that we should love our wives like Christ loved the church, that means that we're supposed to serve and sacrifice.
Hey, I was cleansing the temple.
Okay, different perspective, not necessarily right, just different. All right, I think the question is, how many of you have ever done anything for your wife without desiring anything in return? Maybe sitting on the couch, cuddling up to her, watching a movie, maybe The Notebook.
Are you even married?
Jesus wasn't married. Now look, the point no, I'm not, and that stings a little bit. I have read parts of a lot of relationship books, and if anyone thinks they can lead this group better than I can, put your hand down, Jerry. I am sharing my feelings, and that's what you need to do with your wives. Practice makes perfect. Who wants to go next?
I guess I could give it a shot. Hi guys, my name is Sheldon, and I am romantically challenged.
Hi, Sheldon.
I thought I'd just share a few things from the program that I've learned so far. First, if your wife says she doesn't know where she wants to go eat, well, that's pretty much code for Italian, and expensive Italian. And secondly, if you're getting her an anniversary gift, the Snuggies, not really a very good idea, even if it's the leopard print. Learned that one the hard way. And then third, the simple act of doing dishes is a big, big win. I mean, a big one. So do all the dishes you can. Thanks.
I have no idea what you said, but that was good. Bathroom break isn't yet.
Sorry, I gotta go. Sorry, guys.
Oh, Mr. Big Guy doesn't want to share, does he?
Not tonight.
Probably doesn't care about his wife.
Okay, I'll share. Okay. This is a picture of my wife and kids. I've been married for 20 years. We married young, and I don't regret it. Have we had our share of storms? Sure. Do we have some amazing memories? Too many to mention. Do I try to fix things? I do. But it's just because after 20 years of marriage, I still want to ride in and be my wife's knight in shining armor. I remember when we got engaged, her father looked at me and he said, just love her the way Christ loved the church. I smiled and said I would, having no idea what that meant. And I still don't know if I understand it. But you know what I want? I want to be a man who wakes up every morning and asks the question, how can I bless my wife? And God, men, isn't that what you want? I mean, isn't your wife worth it?
Hey, wait. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Sit down, Jerry.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Okay, enough. Sit down. What is going on? Sit down. Please sit down. I need a wife.